Hi there, Tad Hargrave from Marketing for Hippies. I'm at the pier, ferry dock on Salt Spring Island. And the other day I had a conversation with somebody, I think probably at lunch from my workshop, this conversation about how do you know when you're ready? Very difficult question, and a lot of people have the imposter syndrome, this feeling of like, oh, well, I'll never be ready. And there's that ever-present question, how do I know? And of course, on one side, people can make the mistake of when they're trying to decide this, when they're trying to figure it out, they make the mistake of, well, I'm never ready. I always need another modality. There's always going to be something else. And they never quite feel ready to begin. That's one side. But the other side is somebody says, oh yeah, some life coach says, well, hey, you just had life experience. You went through something terrible. And they say, but I haven't really healed from it. It doesn't matter. Just start. I don't know if I'm ready. Hey, that's just a belief. We got to work on your mindset. And people start before they're ready. We've all seen that, and many of us did that. I certainly did that. We start before we're ready. We charge too much. We're way too big in our britches, and other people suffer as a result. And then we suffer too. So we can start too soon, and we can start too late. So a lot of people wonder, how do I know when is the right time for me to start? How do I know when I'm ready? I remember Stuart Wilde, spiritual misfit. He wrote a book, I can't remember which one it was in, but he said, most people operate in what he calls TikTok time, TikTok reality. You're just going through the 9 to 5 consensus reality, the postage stamp consensus. And then one day you have a mystical experience. And maybe you take some shrooms, maybe you just go to a talk, you read a book. It just happens. Wham, you're seeing more than you did. And he said, as soon as that happens, the very next thing that happens for people is they want to teach. Immediately, they've got one spiritual insight. Now they want to write a book and be an author and teach about it. So too soon. People do a weekend, Reiki thing, and it's, well, now I'm a healer. And of course, it's wonderful you did the weekend. But do understand, some people spend their whole life doing this, And this gets me to the big point. This question of how do I know when I'm ready has an assumption in it that's so unseen in modern society that it just sneaks by invisibly. How do I know when I'm ready? Is it the how that sticks out? I don't think it's that. How do I know when I'm ready? Is it that we need to really discern what's belief and what's knowing, and that deep inner knowing? I don't even think it's that, though. There's certainly that. Is it the when? How do I know when I'm ready? Is the assumption that it's a timing thing the issue? That maybe there should be a where or a what or a how in place of the when? I don't think it's that. How do I know when I'm ready? Is it that the idea of being ready is a red herring and we shouldn't even think about being ready? No, I think being ready is a real thing. I think there is such a thing as being ready and not being ready. I think it's the I. How do I know when I'm ready? That's the trouble. This is where it all goes wrong. It's not I don't think it's, let me make the case on this. In most traditional cultures, there was such a thing as apprenticeship. In the Celtic world, most of my ancestry, if you wanted to be a druid, that was 21 years of study before they let you loose. 21 years. I don't know how old you are when you start, but you're not 25 when you start. So that's 21 years of study to become a druid. And do you think also that if you got to the end of the 21 years and you really flunked out on everything, your astronomy was no good, your memory of the laws was no good, you kept forgetting all the parts of the story, do you think that they would just say, oh, it's okay, you did the 21 years, you're a druid? No. So you weren't the one to determine if you were ready or not. You would have someone older than you, and maybe more than one person older than you, who would sit you down and say, now it's time. And my guess is Sometimes you'd think, I feel ready. I've been chomping at the bit, let me at it. And sometimes you wouldn't. But it wasn't up to you. Your readiness was not your decision to make entirely. I think it was recognized and seen, pled for, asked for. We see that you have this. We see that you're ready to do this. Would you step in and do this now? And I imagine it was still your choice if you were going to do it or not. But the question of your readiness was not in your hands. The problem is not that we don't know how to ascertain when we're ready. That's not the problem. The problem is that's left to us. The problem is that we have to discern because there's no one around us telling us. There's shady life coaches who are going to push you to say you're ready before you're ready and just believe in yourself and don't limit yourself. And this is all about a self-worth issue. There's that. And then there's people who are going to be the, negative Nancy's in your life and say, oh, well, hey, you just keep studying. You got to get your PhD and really should do a postdoctoral. And you should, and you're 80 years old before you have anything to say in the world. So somewhere between those two is the crater of what's missing, of elders, of medicine people, of skilled craftspeople who would have been our teachers and apprenticed us. So if you're struggling with am I ready or not, of course you are struggling. Of course you're struggling. Look at the society you live in. You live in a society where you have to make that determination yourself. And by the way, did you ever take a course on how to know if you're ready? Did you ever read a book on that? Anyone ever teach you that? We never learned that. So we're just supposed to improvise and make it up and figure it out on our own. And so, of course, that's hard. And I would say almost impossible. And so we stumble and we start too soon and we wait too long and then we start too late. But all of that is a symptom. It's a consequence of something bigger. So then what's the redemption here? The redemption is not to complain about it. The redemption is not to curse the world that made it so tricky to figure this out. I think the redemption is that we become those elders. We become the ones who would take on apprentices and who would be trustworthy enough that we could look at a young person and say, not yet. I know you want to. I know you think you're ready, but you will do damage if you leap out right now. So hold back. And we could be the elders, the more experienced ones who could say, it's time. And I know you don't think you're ready. And I know your knees are shaking. And I know you think you're gonna get it all wrong, but you're ready. You won't know until you start. I'm gonna push you out of the nest, and I know you think you're gonna crash, but you will fly. You'll discover your wings on the way down. And I love you that much. So I love you like this, and they push you out. So there you go. That's my thought. I would love to hear any reflections you have on that in the comments below. Thank you everyone who likes these videos, who shares them. You can follow me also at marketingforhippies.com on my website. Thanks for stopping by.